start by telling us what your job is here?
My job at Spinnaker is editor-in-chief. So it's my job to oversee the news staff and oversee all of the content that we produce for our website and print publication.
What did you start off before becoming the editor-in-chief?
When I started at Spinnaker when I was a freshman at UNF. My first story was about some changes that were coming to Bright Futures. After that, I worked my way into the opinions section, and I stayed there for a pretty good amount of time, a year and a half, writing like news analysis pieces about current events and like kind of interpreting them for students, and of course like putting my own voice and opinion in that. And then after that, I moved on to a regular reporter. I was a normal reporter for a year or like a semester working on news and features pieces. And then after that, I became publisher, which is when we had a magazine. I was in charge of producing the magazine, and then the semester after that, I became editor-in-chief.
What sorts of problems have you faced during your time as editor-in-chief?
One of the biggest challenges for me has been learning to be a better leader to students. I've always been, when I was younger, like a kind of a natural leader, but overseeing a staff like this one, we have about 30 people that work on like the news staff and who work in the department. So it's been interesting to learn how to be a better leader for them and how to work with different types of people, how to give different people what they need. Also, just in terms of journalism, we have Spinnaker is heavily focused on teaching students. We're not just like the news organization. We're also a resource for students to come in here and learn about how to make the news. So teaching them those kinds of things, and specifically teaching them about like ethical issues in journalism. Like for whatever reason, this past week I've had a lot of questions about, well, why can't I write an opinions article while I'm writing news, and why can't I do this or that as a journalist? So it's been kind of for things that for me are just they come naturally, like because I've been doing it for a lot longer, and it seems like of course why would you want to do something like that? It's been hard for me to like be able to formulate a way to make them understand like why things are right or wrong in journalism.
So we've been getting quite a few reporters here at Spinnaker.
I know that this semester we have 70 volunteers through all of our platforms. So we have paid staff, we have a couple of paid reporters, and then I guess 3 paid reporters. We have the editors, and then we get volunteers reporters as well. And I'd say we have probably somewhere between 10 and 20 volunteer reporters, and I know they're not always like in here at the same time, but they've gone through training, they've written a story or two, and they're still kind of like learning how things work here and if they want to be involved.
Do you feel that there was like maybe a problem trying to get them all involved in the Spinnaker because of how many reporters there are, or how many volunteers?
I think we've been doing really good this year. I know in the past year and like over the summer we were having difficulty getting volunteers in and finding people to write stories. But over the summer we also put the organization as a whole, we had a presence at every orientation. Like we've been going to market days, like we've been going to classes and visiting them and asking people to come work for us. So we've been putting like an organized effort into getting more volunteers, and I think that we're definitely seeing the results of that.
How do you feel about like the view count of like people paying attention? Do you feel like there's a lot of people on campus, or you feel like that there's like not enough people on campus listening to Spinnaker?
In previous years we've had a little bit of trouble with like promoting ourselves, and that we just didn't put a lot of focus on it. And this year we've really put a focus on it, like a heavy focus on letting people know like, hey, we're here, this is what we do. And so we're starting to see the results of that already. Like in the past couple of weeks we've gotten like our likes have been really shooting up because of like our coverage of breaking news and things like the storm. So we've really seen like a lot of more people like following us and engaging with us in that respect. Because I do think that right now not enough people follow us. We have about maybe 4,000 followers on Facebook. Our website gets probably a little over 50,000 views a month. And while those are great numbers, but when you think about it, there's 16,000 students on campus at any given time, and then there are the alumni who have graduated who want to keep in touch, and then there's their parents, and then there's the faculty members, and then there's the administrators and the visitors. So there's all kinds of people that are technically our audience that just don't know that we are here and are working constantly for them.
Is this like the Spinnaker? Is it like a magazine or is it like a newspaper?
Yeah, the Spinnaker is primarily a news website, like a breaking news website. 24/7 we're putting information up there. And then we also have a monthly print newspaper. Previously, we printed a magazine last year, but we stopped in April. That was our last one for a lot of different reasons. We switched to the print newspapers monthly that we print that are centered around a certain theme. Like we just had one that came out called The Tech Issue and that kind of stuff.
So, what do you feel that the primary reason that we stopped printing the magazine?
One of the big reasons was cost. It cost a lot. It was very much more expensive to print a magazine. Another reason is that our newsroom is not set up to produce the content that needs to go in a magazine, like the kinds of stories that we are producing to feed the website, which is our main focus, does not translate well into a magazine kind of format. Because those are a lot of like longer form pieces, more in depth, really heavy on the visuals, beautiful photography, and that's just not what our staff did well at that point. When they first started the magazine, the group of people that did it was kind of this like unique cluster of people that could come together and produce like a really beautiful thing. But it wasn't something that we could sustain like throughout as semesters pass and students come and go. So we decided that it would be best to switch to a newsprint publication every month because we could better populate it with content that our staff was already producing and was already doing well.